to number one West. We are pleased to present one of the most renowned broadcasters in British Columbia from CKWX in Vancouver. Make welcome Elmer Tippe.
Has there ever been someone in your life who's all you really cared for? Who you know?
Did that just die down, so you decided to go to...
So I came back home.
You came back home and
I missed my family so much I cried myself to sleep every night because I was so lonesome. But anyway, it was tough and I didn't like it. That part of it, being away from home. So I came back home
you met with
went over to see Joe Chesney, and he handed me a rate card and he said, "Go and sell some radio time." So that started it, the radio thing. And Joe didn't like me on the air because it sounded too much like a hillbilly. And
really?
And he was really hard on proper
enunciation
and all that was right for enunciations. So I struggled with that, but see, when I was on the road in '57 with Brother Ray and George Ledoux, Buzz Lundgren, and myself, I was known as Zeke, and we were known as the Pine Mountain Boys from Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And boy, I was humming them songs and talking lots like them, you know.
Okay.
So every time I got behind the mic after that,
you would just do that.
That kicked in.
Okay. So it was like a reflex.
Yes, it was a tough deal.
So how did you go about not doing that then?
Well, I didn't.
You didn't?
Best I could, I did. I tried, yeah. But a lot of people still said to me when I was working at WX, said, "Are you an American?" And I said, "No, Canadian." "Well, you sound a little American to me." And I said, "Oh, sorry about that." But anyway.
And then they go, "Oh, okay, Canadian." You just said sorry, so.
Yeah.
All right. So how long were you at CJJC for?
What, 9 or 10 years, I guess it was.
Okay. And when you were selling radio time, like Joe, would you do like the location type stuff, or what?
Yeah,
what did
some
you
of
get?
that, yeah.
Did you end up getting your own?
We had a
own
little
show,
office in Haney, downtown Haney,
okay.
And every once in a while, well, what happened was we went to a show at Queen Elizabeth Theatre. CJJC was involved with bringing the big country acts into Queen Elizabeth Theatre in Vancouver.
Right.
And I don't want to sound braggadocious, but at any rate, program director at the time thought it'd be a good thing to, sell out crowd at the Queen to introduce all the jocks that were on air, So they did that, and my name come up, and I got a bigger hand than the regular guys on air. So he just said, "What the hell's going on here? What was that about?" Popularity. Well, okay. So we got to get you on the air, he said. That kind of followed me. So at any rate, we did a little bit of it, but so I did an hour show from Haney from 9 until 10 in the morning, just playing records and just being me, which were the good old days in radio, when people on air were recognized and let be known, let them be recognized, not like nowadays it's just all like canned music and that's it.
Yeah, and you got to kind of have freedom of what you
hand,
played,
yeah.
right?
That's it.
Like you played what you wanted as well, right?
A lot of people would say, a lot of people liked it, some people didn't. Like, I remember one person saying to me that, "I like listening to you, Elmer," because he said, "When you're on the air," he said, "I'm going to hear some fiddle music." And I like fiddles, Other people would say, "Damn, those fiddles bother me, I don't like it." So, you're going to have that.
Right. You're not going to be able to please everybody.
Yeah.
So did it get any longer when you were at CJJC? Like, did you just have the 1 hour and that's it, or?
For a while, I on weekends on Saturday night, I worked from 6 to midnight. At that time, we only had a license to operate from 6 to midnight. Weren't a 44-hour radio station.
Okay.
So it ended up that I thought I wanted to stop playing music for a while, and so I took on the Saturday night gig at the radio station to play records, which I did for about a year or so, and then I remember playing God Save the Queen and Say Goodnight at midnight. Tune us in at 6 in the morning. Dave Cash will be here, or whoever it was. I think it was Dave at the time. At any rate, that's how that all worked out.
Okay. And then you went on to and for that, like, again, you had no like educational background with radio. You just
I asked Joe about it, and if you thought I should, go to take a radio course, broadcasting course, and he said, "Oh, you should just do a lot of oral reading and be natural with your reads." I said, "That's the best thing you can do."
okay.
So I did that.
And then so you went from CJJC, and then you went to CKWX.
Yeah, in 1974.
Okay. What made the jump? Like, what was the reason for that?
Well, I got this letter one day in my mail slot when I come to work in the morning, and we had a one-on-one meeting with the sales manager, and he was the manager of the radio station at the time, and he stated how disappointed he was in me and how I took the radio station for a ride. I'm a commissioned salesman. How do you take a radio station for a ride when you're a commissioned salesman?
Yeah, that's
you only get for what you sell. You're not drawing a so-called paycheck, same amount every month, no matter what you do. So at any rate, I read the letter and the information, and he stated that he suggests I leave the radio station in November, and the date and the terms. So I said, "Yeah, good enough for me." So I took it back in, and I said, "Yeah," I said, "I'll accept that." And he said, "What, you quitting?" I said, "Hey, dummy," I said, "you just fired me." I said, "You got it all here, black and white." I said, "What the hell are you talking about, quitting?" I said, "You got the amount of money you're going to pay me out," which I never got. And he knows who he is, but at any rate, and the date that I was going to leave, and like the terms.
So it was pretty much like a resignation letter that he wrote, like a pink slip, pretty much.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah, like a kind of like that, like.
In soccer, they call it a red card. You're gone. Right. That's what it is.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
I don't know whether it is or not, but anyway, that's what I got.
Okay.
So then, what do I do now? Well, I thought, well, you know what? I always wanted to do music, so I'm going to try and do music.
All right.
But at any rate, then friends again. A guy that I knew, and he was and he was a good guy. He shared a business, an advertising agency with another guy in Vancouver. And Ed Ferry was his name, and he was looking after one of the accounts that I had, which was the sale of motors here in Haney. And so he said, "What are you going to do now?" And I said, "Haven't got a clue." He said, "What do you want to stay in radio?" And I said, "If I could," but I said, "Where?" And he said, "Well, keep my ears open." So his agency and all the other agencies in Vancouver and the area were invited to a Christmas party at CKWX, which the radio stations do. and he was talking to Tom Peacock. They had just switched to country music at that time for about a year or so, and so he asked Tom how it was going. Tom said, "Great." He said, "Right now," he said, "I'm looking for a all-night disc jockey," and he said, "Oh." He said, "What are you looking for?" He said, "Well," he said, "I want somebody that knows the music, you know, and to be a riddle of this." He laughs when I say it, but it won't more my words. And he said, "It's like a good forerunner to Red Robinson's show in the morning, 5:30. Worked till 6 to 5:30 every night." Well, my dear wife just didn't like that at all. She didn't like being home alone at night. But nonetheless.
And by that point, you had like Mom and Uncle Rick and Uncle Gal. By that
Yeah.
point, right? You had the 3 kids.
Kids, yeah.
So how old were they at that point?
Oh gosh.
Probably still young, like toddlers,
Yeah.
like 5.
Oh no, they were older than that.
Oh, they were older than that.
They were in their low teens at least, I think.
Okay.
13 and 14 and stuff like that, I think, yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, I went in to see Tom, and we came to an agreement, and best boss I ever worked for. He was just a great guy. Left us far too early in life. But nonetheless, he was the guy that gave me a chance, and he had a habit of just walking up behind you and pinching you in the lower thigh. And if you're walking down the hall or something, say you're just wasting your time there on the all-nighter, you know. Said, "We gotta get you in the daytime." And at that time, when you had a contract with the Broadcast Board of Measurements in Canada, I mean, you had a hell of a time to get out of it and change it. Today, it doesn't seem to matter, but at that time, they had a talk show from noon to 3, and they wouldn't let them change that format, and they wanted to be 24 hours a day with the country music thing. And he wanted someone to do that. And he said, "I think you're the guy to do it." And I said, "Whoa," I said, "I ain't no hotshot DJ, Tom." And he said, "If I wanted a hotshot DJ, Elmer," he said, "they're out there, they're a dime a dozen." He said, "I want somebody that knows country music and is going to present it like he knows it." And I said, "Well," and he said, furthermore, he said, "You know the artists, and we want to use your time to interview," and that's why I got all these pictures of the different artists from Nashville and that, and they all would be on my show. I would do interviews with them all, which was a treat, a great time.
Woman,